working on the Marauder armored vehicle, the beast they chose to replace the old line and answer machines like that. The Marauder isn't some cute patrol truck. It's a mine-protected, high-clearance monster, built to shrug off blasts and ambushes, so the people inside get to go home. My shift starts in the heat. At the far end of the shop, steel is already glowing like the inside of a volcano. Raw billets go into the furnace and come out blinding orange, soft enough to roll and press into the armor that'll wrap around a Marauder's crew. You feel it the second you walk in, hot air hitting your face, sweat on your back before you even clock in. Without the heat shields, gloves, and face protection, one splash of molten metal or one bad step near that furnace and you're in the hospital. If you're lucky. Burns, heat stress, even heat stroke are just part of the risk. If you don't respect this place, trucks unload dull gray slabs that don't look like anything special. That's the start. We send them through rollers, flattening and stretching until they look like giant metal sheets. From there, my line takes over. We don't just cut metal, we feed a whole armored vehicle into existence. A girl from my crew taps the program into the CNC console, eyes on the digital blueprint for the Marauder's plates. The plasma cutter kicks on, a bright screaming arc, tracing clean lines through thick steel, turning those rough slabs into precise panels for the hull and floor. Every cut has to be dead on. Mess up a few millimeters now and you're fighting that mistake all the way down the line. The noise is insane. Presses slamming, cranes squealing, grinders howling. If you stand here all day with no ear protection, you're basically signing up for permanent ringing and lost hearing in a few years. Steel and fabrication shops like ours are some of the loudest workplaces on Earth, and long-term noise can wreck your ears and your nerves. So we wear the plugs. We still shout, but at least we get to hear our families when we get home. Once the plates are cut, they roll over to the hydraulic press, our big metal fist. It bends each piece into the exact curve the Marauder needs to deflect blasts and shrapnel instead of taking them head-on. Two of us stand on either side, tank tops sticking to our backs under the heat, trading hand signals with the press operator. A little more. Hold. Stop. We trust the sensors, but we still trust each other more. One wrong bend, and the armor is scrapped. One distracted moment, and it's not just the part that gets crushed. By the time the last plate rolls out of the press, the floor is already dusted with flakes of burned metal, and my tank top is glued to my back with sweat. We stack the curved armor like giant steel ribs, each one tagged, scanned, and sent down to the line where the real body of the Marauder starts to take shape. Out there, nothing looks like a vehicle yet. Just jigs, clamps, and frames waiting for us to stitch them together into something that can drive through a blast and keep 10 people alive. Robotic arms move first, slow and smooth, like they're thinking about every motion. They tack the big pieces in place, holding the hull panels and floor plates so they don't shift a millimeter. But robots don't finish the job. We do. I pull down my welding hood, adjust my gloves, and bring the torch to light. The arc pops, the light goes white-blue, and the weld pool starts to flow along the joint. One pass, then another, layer after layer. We're not just sticking metal together. We're building the double-welded skin that lets the Marauder walk away from mines and IEDs that would rip a normal truck in half. You feel the heat not just from the steel, but from the arc itself. The fumes rise up in a dirty cloud. And even with extraction fans and masks, you taste metal at the back of your throat some days. We joke about steel-flavored air, but we know the truth. Welding fumes can wreck your lungs, mess with your nerves, even raise your cancer risk if you breathe that stuff for years. That's why we fight for good ventilation, why the foreman checks our filters, why we call each other out if someone lifts their mask too early. No vehicle is worth our lungs. Hour after hour, we move along the hull, side panels, V-shaped belly sections, roof plates. The work is heavy and repetitive. Same movements, same awkward positions, grinding, lifting, reaching. It's the kind of thing that quietly destroys your shoulders, your lower back, your wrists, if you don't stretch, if you don't use the hoists, if the line isn't set up right. A lot of people think the biggest danger here is an explosion. Most days, it's just gravity and repetition chewing away at our bodies. When the hull finally comes off the jig, it looks like a steel house on wheels. Thick, boxy, with that deep belly to throw blasts away from the crew. We roll it to the next station, where the top ring waits. The opening where the turret or remote weapon system will sit, watching the world from above. We clamp a massive circular ring over the cutout and check it again and again. Laser measurements, physical gauges, old school eyeballing. Every millimeter matters here. If that ring is off, even a little, the turret will grind, jam, or drift off target when some kid out there really needs it to move smooth and fast. I stand on the platform, wiping sweat off my forehead with the back of my glove, watching the numbers settle on the screen. Good. The inspector says, lock it. We burn it in. Slow, steady weld all the way around, sealing the ring into the hull like a steel crown. When the last bead cools, we all step back for a second. It's just another station on the line. But we know, that ring is where the Marauder will see and fight. Where decisions get made in seconds that decide who goes home. When the hull cools and the turret ring is locked in, it's time to drop the hard in. The engine comes in hanging from an overhead crane, swinging just a little as it moves down the line. It's big, loud, and heavy enough to crush a car. And I'm standing right under it, in a gray tank top, hard hat tilted back, eyes locked on the guide marks. Easy, easy. A little to my side, I call out. The rigger nudges the controls, and the motor slides forward like a metal whale slipping into water. We watch clearances, like hawks, pipes, mounts, brackets. One scratch in the wrong spot now, and it becomes a leak, a failure, a breakdown later, in some hot, dusty valley. Once the engine feet touch the mounts, we breathe again. Bolts go in, one by one, torqued to spec. It looks boring on camera, but this is where physics meets responsibility. If it isn't tightened right, vibration will eat those bolts alive. Then comes the transmission and the drive line. All the guts that turn that engine power into moving wheels. We hoist, align, and lock everything in place until the belly of the Marauder is packed with steel veins and gears, ready to push that armored body through blasts and broken roads. Not long after, the wiring teams hit it. Harnesses snake through the hull. Thick bundles of cable running from the driver's console to sensors, cameras, radios, weapon controls. Girls like me crouch in tight spaces. Tank tops dark with sweat, arms deep inside access panels. Clipping, tying, checking labels twice. One wrong plug, one loose connector, and a gun doesn't fire, or a radio goes dead when someone needs backup. Inside, the driver's console wakes up slowly. Screens, switches, joysticks. You can see the future crew already. Hands on those controls, eyes on thermal cameras and day sights, using the tech we're wiring right now to see through smoke, dust, and darkness. It's not just cool tech to us, it's reaction time. It's survival. Underneath, the suspension and wheels go on. Massive arms, heavy springs, big shocks built to swallow explosions and rough ground. We line up each road wheel, slide it into place with help from jigs and lifts, then lock it down tight. You can feel the weight change as the Marauder settles onto its legs for the first time. It's like watching a steel skeleton stand up. Tracks come in next. Long, heavy chains of metal and rubber. A crew of us walks alongside as the crane feeds the track around the wheels. We guide each link, drop the first pins, then the last. It's slow, careful work. One pin not seated, one track twisted, and that machine could throw its own feet in the middle of a mission. When both sides are finally pinned and tensioned, the Marauder looks almost ready to move. Almost. First, we dress her up. The hull rolls into the paint bay, and the doors shut behind it. Inside, robots and techs spray on layer after layer of protective coating. Paint that doesn't just look tough, but resists chemicals, weather, and the slow rust that tries to eat everything made of steel. From bare metal to full camouflage, the Marauder goes from factory project to combat vehicle in one long, controlled shower of color. When it rolls back out, we add the last details. Unit markings, warning labels, reflective panels, and those tall communication antennas that look fragile but are absolutely non-negotiable. Without comms, an armored vehicle is just a loud, blind rock. Then come the tests. First, inside. Sensors, lights, heating and cooling, navigation, radios, weapon controls. We flip every switch, run every system. Computer diagnostics check one layer. Our eyes and hands check the rest. We drive it onto the dyno, run the engine up, listen for weird sounds that shouldn't be there. No rattle, no leak, no strange vibration gets a free pass. After that, we take it outside. On the test track, the Marauder finally gets to be what it was built to be. It crawls over steep concrete ramps, rolls through deep mud, climbs over obstacles, and splashes through water. From the outside, it just looks massive and unstoppable. From the inside, you feel the suspension fighting to keep the crew from being slammed around. Every bump is data. We listen, we watch, we adjust. Then the live fire and systems checks. Weapon mounts swing, stabilize, and fire downrange. Cameras track targets. The fire control system links what the gunner sees to where the barrel points, shaving seconds off reaction time. It's not just about hitting targets. It's about hitting them before they hit you. By the time it comes back from the range, the Marauder is coated in dust and carbon. But that's exactly how we like it before final inspection. We go over it, panel by panel, going back to places we welded weeks ago. Tugging on cables we laid. Checking fasteners, we tightened until our shoulders ached. This is our last chance to catch anything. When the inspector signs off, there's a quiet moment most people never see. No music, no big speech. Just a couple of us standing there in our dirty tank tops, gloves hanging from our pockets, looking at this huge armored thing that exists because we rolled, cut, welded, lifted, wired, and tested every inch of it. Tomorrow, it won't be here. It'll be on a truck, leaving the factory, heading to some base, then maybe someplace nobody can even pronounce right. Somewhere out there, a crew will climb into it, check the same systems we check, close the same doors we bolted, and trust this machine with their lives. And that's the quiet truth of this job. When Russia shows off a new Model 14 tank on TV, what we build here is the answer. Not in speeches, not in headlines, but in steel, sweat, and long nights under harsh lights. If you want to keep walking the line with me, seeing what really happens behind these factory doors where the next Marauder is already waiting to be born, hit like, subscribe, and don't miss the next shift.